Well, you guys seem to really enjoy my Dirty Harry video, and since I found that first movie on HBO Max, I went back to HBO Max to try to find the sequels, and they're nowhere to be found. Not only are they not on HBO Max, but they're really on no other major streaming service that I could find, for free. So we're going to talk about this one instead. Every Which Way But Loose. Now, Every Which Way But Loose came out in 1978 and stars Clint Eastwood as this brawler, prize fighter slash trucker Philo Beddoe, and he's basically what you get if Dirty Harry threw away his .44 Magnum along with his badge at the end of that movie and just took up boxing, because it's basically the same character, same kind of rough and tumble, gravelly voice, doesn't take crap from anybody, although here he lives with, I'm gonna guess, brother Orville, played by Jeffrey Lewis. It's not exactly made clear what their relationship is, but Jeffrey Lewis is kind of his manager. He finds fights. He's kind of the brains behind Clint Eastwood's brawn, although aside from just scamming people, he's not all that smart, and that's where the comedy comes in, because it's like, okay, who really is the brains of this outfit? But let me know in the comments if they are actually brothers, because it's not made entirely clear, but what is made clear is that the actual owner of the property is Orville's ma, played by Ruth Gordon, and she's honestly one of the funniest characters in this movie. She is kind of what you would imagine the elderly mother of these two guys to be like, because she just is kind of old, crotchety lady, but she knows how to use a gun, and when people get on her property that she doesn't like, she'll shoot first and ask questions later. But there is one crucial element in this family dynamic that I've left out, and it is Clyde the orangutan. And Clyde is probably the only reason people remember this movie. I feel like calling him their pet isn't quite giving the ape justice, because for all intents and purposes he is Clint Eastwood's pet, but they treat him almost like another human. He drinks beer with them, he goes out partying with them, and yeah, he does eventually shack up with a female orangutan, so human characters aren't the only ones getting action in this movie. Clyde is given so much screen time and so much personality and character and just time spent with him that yeah, he's just another member of the family. But what is the plot of Every Which Way But Loose? Well, the core of this plot is actually pretty simple. Early on in the film, Clint Eastwood meets this country western singer played by Sandra Locke, and he immediately becomes infatuated with her. They go on a couple dates, everything seems to be going very well, and then she just up and leaves with no explanation. And the only clue to where she might be going is the Colorado plates. I think it said Denver on it, so they're going to Denver. And now this is a road trip movie with Philo and Orville and Clyde and Beverly D'Angelo. Yeah, they actually pick up Beverly D'Angelo, the mom from the National Lampoon Vacation movies. She's in this movie too, and she's really funny. Weirdly enough, the parts of the movie that make me laugh the most here are not the stuff with Clint Eastwood and the orangutan, because on paper and on the posters, you'd think that's where the humor is, but actually the scenes with them are much more dramatic and kind of heartfelt, and you actually feel for their relationship. You actually buy Clint Eastwood's relationship with this ape than you do Clint Eastwood's relationship with his supposed love interest that just ditches him. But going back to Beverly D'Angelo for a second, she plays this woman Echo. She's like a produce saleswoman on the side of the road. They find her selling produce, and she kind of hits it off with Orville, so now they're on the road together. They're a couple. And I don't think I ever gave Beverly D'Angelo enough credit as a comedic actress, because in the National Lampoon movies she's been funny, but she always felt kind of overshadowed by Chevy Chase and Cousin Eddie and just the other actors that have more over-the-top performances. But her subtle and understated approach to comedy is very well served here, especially in the scenes where she gets to use her gun. Because for once, Clint Eastwood isn't armed. I don't think Clint Eastwood even fires a single shot in this whole movie. But Echo over here is packing, and they use that to their advantage a few different times, and it's always funny. And it's not only really funny with how she handles these moments, it's also just really good for the story, because that's value added. That also kind of justifies why she's tagging along on this trip. Aside from giving Orville someone to get some action with, she can actually pull her own weight in a fight. She can fend for herself, and she can protect the other guys. So good on her, and good on the screenwriters for giving her an actually practical way to contribute to the dynamic and to the adventure. But then there's this subplot with this biker gang that's after them. They bump into them a few times. They're your cheesy, stereotypical, leather-clad biker gang that's made up of a bunch of overweight middle-aged guys that look like they're going through their midlife crisis. And after Clint Eastwood embarrasses a couple of them in a bar fight, now they're on the hunt. They want to get their vengeance, but they're just not good at it. And these guys feel like they were ripped straight out of those cheesy beach movies with Annette Funicello and Frankie Avalon. Yeah, that's the style they're going for, and I kept waiting for it to almost be funny. It never quite gets there, and it's not because I don't like that style of comedy. Those old beach movies have a soft place in my heart, actually, because of just how over the top and wacky they are. Sometimes I'm in the mood for that. But you know what would have made it all work for me in the end though, is if the resolution with these guys was somehow connected to Clyde. Because Clyde comedically is kind of a wild card. You don't always know what kind of comedy you're going to get from Clyde, if comedy at all. Like I said before, the stuff with him and Clint Eastwood is surprisingly heartfelt, and Clint Eastwood's acting is surprisingly really good when he's just talking at this ape. So I kept waiting for the big moment when this biker gang's defeated. Clyde would have some role to play, because this whole time they're after Clint Eastwood. But if Clyde shows up and defeats them, then they're even more embarrassed because it's not even a human. And that would have been really funny, would have reconciled the two disparate tones, but unfortunately that never really happens. And they do get defeated, but it's also in that kind of 1950s beach movie kind of way. And Clyde doesn't really play a role in that, so I don't know, I thought that was wasted potential. And when they are defeated, it doesn't even really play into the grand finale. The grand finale really has two elements to it. One, it's the big prize fight. He's fought a couple different people to get some money to keep going on this adventure, and he gets to this one guy, and I can't remember his name, but I think he goes by the Tank. That's his reputation, and he's also the one that everybody Clint Eastwood fights in this movie is also compared to. So he's been built up a long time, and they fight, and Clint Eastwood takes the fall because he doesn't want to damage the Tank's reputation. He wants to keep the legend alive, which, you know, that's kind of an interesting way to end it. But the other side of this movie is when he actually does meet up with his long-lost love, and they meet and they talk, and Clint Eastwood's got hurt feelings. And normally, especially with a comedy, this is about the time when they kiss and make up and they live happily ever after, but not this movie. When they finally meet up, she wants absolutely nothing to do with him. She's moved on. She was like, you're just a one-night stand. Let it stay a one-night stand. Let's move on with our lives and stop following me across America. And yeah, that's the way the movie ends, and it shows that the person that Clint Eastwood is really destined to spend the rest of his life with is Clyde. But biker gang aside, I was actually kind of impressed as to how much personality was in this movie. I remember seeing this movie when I was actually pretty young. My dad showed it to me when I was pretty young because it had an orangutan in it, and it was probably a good segue into the harder Dirty Harry movies. Except I remember already seeing the Dirty Harry movies at that point, so how young was I when I saw Dirty Harry? Probably too young, but that's not always a bad thing. So it was nice to kind of revisit this movie all these years later with fresh adult eyes, and it holds up pretty well. Is it great? No. Is it Clint Eastwood's best movie or even his best comedic movie? Probably not. I think Space Cowboys, if you're looking for a Clint Eastwood comedy, is definitely up there. But I can't really say this movie's bad either. It's just a odd bit of comedy that, you know, if you're in the mood where you're not going to take it too seriously and you want to see old ladies swear and shoot people, you want to see Beverly D'Angelo start packing heat, and you want to see Clint Eastwood have some very intimate moments with an orangutan. I guess I could have worded that better, but it's too late. I'm keeping it in. And if any of what I just said sounds interesting to you, this might be that kind of weird comedy for you to check out. It's on HBO Max. Give it a watch. And again, let me know where I can find some of those Dirty Harry sequels, because I really want to watch those again. But now I turn over to you guys. What do you think about Every Which Way But Loose? It's an odd bit of comedy, but I don't really know what the consensus is on this movie. It's such a niche film, a weird little blip on Clint Eastwood's radar that actually got a sequel, Any Which Way You Can. And if that's something I should check out, let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more content, and hit the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a video. And as always, I'm Colby. This is my nerdy talk, and I'll see you in the next video.